courses were like abnormal behavior, women's psychology, like stuff like that. So I have like 3 or 4 psychology classes, which is great to continue with this topic. But that's the only thing that I could think of to save myself at this point, is to take these therapy classes myself and to become a therapist and to talk to other girls, not only for them, but for me, and to try to get somewhere with this. Try to write a book on mentoring. That's the only thing I could think of. And there's a need for it. I know I've talked to plenty of women out there, but it's just, it's the avenues that you have to take to get there.
What do you mean?
Well, I think, I think I was thinking this time around, like finding a job to pay for school and do all this, like, is just an easier avenue. Like I don't have to date, like, well, if I have a job and he turns into a boyfriend, then it's pretty much set. I don't have to concentrate on a relationship because I'm not emotionally involved, so I can concentrate on school, but everything's paid for. But, but then there's still that whole, how they always say, you meet somebody is the way you lose them? Is that what they say? Is that the saying? Yeah, like when they say, like, once a cheater, always a cheater. So if he met you and he was cheating on you, or you were cheating, he was cheating on his wife with you, but he left his wife to be with you.
Yeah.
It's going to happen again. It's the same thing.
So you're setting yourself up for a kind of failure no matter what. If you go down that
path. But you want to anyway. You want to anyway. You want them to fail. So they can't come after you and be like, well, you used me for this and that, because they're going to fail. It's kind of like time after time you hear the same thing over and over again. Like, people repeat, their mistakes. So they're gonna repeat it again. So, and you're just gonna be smart enough to be able to pick it out, but you're gonna ignore it until you need to. I mean, we're so good at that. Like, we're so good at pegging people, because when you first meet somebody, it's like I was taught and told, and it's a learned behavior now. You listen to the first 5 words out of their mouth, you're supposed to know the next 5. And that's how you go into every single room, in every job, every trick.
Who taught you that?
My pimp.
And how do you train yourself to be that intuitive? I mean, to know what...
Some girls just have it naturally. Some girls can't do it at all. Yeah. Or you just learn it. Because you want to learn the quickest way out of there. Everyone has a different style, but for me, I'd rather sit there for an hour and watch TV and have conversation than do physical stuff. Sometimes I'd rather do physical stuff, though. Sometimes guys are just too much. I really do want you to be your therapist.
They want you to be their therapist?
A lot of times, yeah. Yeah, a lot of times they honestly just want, like, because what it is, and see, this is why I don't believe in, like, jealousy and stuff like that in relationships. Like, there are only 2 types of people in this world, men and women. I mean, there's a few questionable people in there, but pretty much you can only be friends with men or women. So if you have a husband or whatever and they're extremely jealous, your only friends are women, but even women are going to make them jealous. So it's vice versa as well. So if a man can't have friends with women or whatever, doesn't want to go to a shrink, doesn't want to do anything like that, he'll call you up, and for an hour a day he pays you like a therapist to talk about his problems. But his wife will probably, most likely, never know, because it's such a big secret.
Do you have to respond to these things he's saying at all, or are you just sitting there?
Yeah.
So how did you learn to listen to men so well, and so that they
well,
call
I just
again?
Always had guys as friends, so that's just you just listen. I mean, some people are awful listeners, but for the most part, a lot of people will listen. And when you get bored, you just kind of, all right, let's talk about something else. But you learn how to be diverse, because within 5 minutes of meeting someone, you have to know what they want, what they need, their needs and their wants. And some girls just have a knack for it, and the girls that do make an extreme amount of money. But I'll tell you one thing, I don't think that there's a girl out there that could say that it doesn't fuck with her head at one point, but the only thing is greed definitely takes over. Because at the end of the day, you could say, yeah, it really fucked with my head, but I had a shitload of money and doing whatever the fuck I want, and nobody would tell me what I could and couldn't do. You know? Or you were that much gold to a pimp, and that you were making that much money, that it didn't matter, he was your friend anyway. I mean, as long as you, like, behave with a pimp, and do what you're supposed to do and make that money. I mean, unless they're really bad, real assholes. They're gonna treat you good.
Because they want they're
gonna treat
their
you good.
paycheck.
Yeah, because you're their meal ticket.
But I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Almost everything you're saying is like
Contradictory?
No, not contradictory at all, but it's sort of filtered through men and what men want and what men decide. Men deciding your worth, men deciding what's to be talked about, men deciding this.
Oh no, you decide in the room your worth. You don't have to do certain things. You tell them. Oh no, you want to do this? That's an extra $500.
I don't mean just.
You can decide your worth. You can decide that when you're in there money wise. You can, if you're good enough to do it and know how to negotiate like a man.
I mean more than just your financial worth. I mean your worth as a human being.
Oh yeah.
Who decides that?
I don't know. I guess yourself. I don't know. It's all dependent. I mean, you can't really put a price on, you as a human being.
I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about your spirit, your peace of mind, your worth, not financial.
Well, that's just respecting yourself and knowing what you can handle and can't handle and like and don't like. And instead of, if you don't like something, saying to yourself, I don't have to do it. But there's pros and cons to everything. You hate your job because you don't make any money. But you might like your job, but you make no money. But, you might love your job, make a lot of money. Like, it all depends, Like, you might be loving your job and doing what you're doing. You might be liking tricking and doing what you're doing because you're making a lot of money. Same thing as just a regular person that goes to an office. They like what they do because they make a lot of money. But if they did the same thing and didn't make a lot of money, they'd be miserable. It's the same thing. Same thing. It's like you have to weigh out, like, the pros and cons.
But somebody who works at the Department of Motor Vehicles, 40 hours a week, it doesn't seem to.
It could be satisfied.
Huh?
They could be fine with that.
They could be fine with it, but it doesn't seem to cause the difficulty you're having with what's happened to you, or what you've gone through. Something's.
But I'm at a stage where I still believe that there's hope and I can change and that this isn't the way it is, and this isn't a job that you can do forever either. You get cut off at a certain point. You really do. It's just like modeling. At a certain point, you're going to get cut off and you're either going to have to go to actressing or, only play certain roles, and the opportunities get limited. And that's what happens over time with the same thing, same principle.
So I know it's a typical question, but I know you don't like the whole 5-year thing, but where do you see yourself in 5 years? You'll be 34, right?
Yeah, honestly, out of school, if I start school this year, out of school, probably working for, I don't know, I see it either, one of three. Either working at a gas station and struggling probably on, what's that called?
Minimum
Section
wage.
8. Minimum wage, Section 8, working at a gas station with no vehicle, again. And that's honestly trying as hard as I believe that I'm going to try this time. And that's just the economy, society, and everything, and the barriers and boundaries and everything of just life. And then I think, and that's just like if things go terribly wrong. Terribly wrong and not my way.
And stay the way they are.
And it's just a cycle, right? And it's just a cycle. Because need for a therapist, if things keep going the way they are now, a need for a therapist is going to be non-existent because people are just not going to be able to pay for it. health insurance companies are not going to be able to pay for it. There's going to be a need for it. Oh yeah, there's going to be a need.